Hey everybody, it's Reggie from Ambrosia for Heads. Today we have the privilege of talking to Ras Kass, one of the most lyrical and cerebral MCs to ever pick up a mic. We're going to be discussing the 20th anniversary of his timeless debut album, Soul on Ice, which hit stores on October 1st, 1996. Ras, what's going on, man?
Hey, Reg, I'm just happy to be here, man. Shouts out to Ambrosia for Heads, and grateful for the journey.
Man, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you always, always. So congratulations on the anniversary of the album. While you were
Yeah, man.
while you were
You-
recording it, were you thinking you were beginning what would be a 20 plus year long career?
No, perfectly honest. I would used to say this in all the interviews because it was true. I'm a bit of a mama's boy, and I thought I could rap, but a lot of my friends didn't think I could rap good. They always said they said I talked funny anyways. Like, you using big ass words. What are you talking about? So
Yeah.
the first person that made me feel comfortable trying to rap, that was kind of in the direction of where I thought I wanted to be, was Karis One. And Rakim, he was very cerebral, but I didn't know anything about like 5%ers or anything. I was still studying history, but Karis One, you must learn. I was like, oh, okay, so this type of rap does exist because this is shit I want to talk about. And I figured, I'd get a tape and a record, so a cassette and a vinyl of me on it. Like I seemed extremely far fetched, but then it happened, and I had a lot of shit to get off my chest. And I think for me, it's always been therapy. I figured this wasn't gonna last long at all. I was like, I'm gonna say some shit, they ain't gonna like it, and then I'm not. So I kind of expected one album and done. Like, they're not gonna like this shit. Nobody's gonna buy this. Nobody's gonna give a fuck. Like, nobody's gonna like this. But at least I got a chance to say what the fuck I wanted to say. I can give the vinyl to my mama and say, hey, well, I rapped. That's kind of what
Right.
was gonna
So
happen.
you were gonna make sure it counted if it was one shot, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in 1996, Priority had Ice Cube, Jay-Z, and Ice-T, and all those acts were very independent minded and fiercely protective of their work. What made Priority the appropriate home for you?
In retrospect, I don't think it was the appropriate home. I'm thankful for the journey, but you can always, they haven't created a time machine, so it's nothing I can do to go back and change anything. But I picked the wrong home for the right reasons. So I looked at NWA and Ice Cube, and then even Snoop Dogg, and these are people who I looked up to. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of dope rap. I didn't really specify between East and West because MC Shadi was from Miami, but I bought his first album. You know what I'm saying? Like, I liked a lot of motherfuckers. If it was dope to me, it was dope. Um, I figured that they had it. I figured Priority because it was well, a couple of reasons. Some of the most impactful rappers ever to come out the West were signed to Priority Records. NWA, Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg. So I was like, well, they must have it. And I felt like I was an evolution of my, you know, forefathers on the mic from the West Coast. So I felt this would probably be the better home for me. I always tell people, like, I was blessed. I had a bidding war. I had opportunities. I had at least 3 labels that wanted to sign me, actually 4. So I was in a bidding war. I didn't go to the first label that wanted me. I had opportunities, rest in peace, Chris Lighting flew me out to New York. I went to Def Jam and walked through the facilities and I had a choice. And I picked Priority because I thought they were the foundation for West Coast, the evolution of West Coast rap. And I felt like I was part of that evolution. I also felt like they were independent and they were small enough to get it. And I didn't want to get lost in the shuffle with a big label that might have so many superstars. I wouldn't be able to get the attention that I might need as a young novice and a new artist that wasn't really down with anybody. I didn't have the association of, being down with Wu-Tang or being down. I wasn't even down with fucking Dog Pound. I wasn't down with anybody. You know what I'm saying? Really, I mean, I always had love and people that fucked with me, but I wasn't I was never even Liquid Crew. I was never in any group. I was never down in any camps. I would create my own camps. You know, even Golden State Warriors, I had affinity for Exhibit. I had affinity for Saphir, and then I was like, why don't we do some shit? You know, and Saphir was Hobo Junction from Oakland. You know, same thing with the Horsemen. I had an affinity for Cannabis. I had affinity for Killer Priest. I had affinity for Corrupt. They're all, you know, different associations. One nigga down with the Fugees, one nigga's down with Wu-Tang, one nigga's down with Snoop and Dogg Pound. I'm like, I like y'all. Why don't we do some shit? So I was always kind of that kid that would kind of pull my motley crew together. And I thought, you know, I thought a smaller label that showed success breaking West Coast artists would be the best home for me. And, you know, in retrospect, like I said, I think I picked the wrong home for the right reasons. You know, hindsight is 20/20.
Well, I mean, they definitely gave you the freedom. I mean, unless you like, 'cause I can't imagine you going any harder than you did on that album. So, what was it, the marketing, or what did you think was made it the wrong decision?
I just think as the journey evolved, we were talking. I was with Kweli last night, and the exec from Rawkus was there. You know what I mean? The owner of Rawkus, I forgot my brother's name. So anyway, you know, and it's dope that they, you know, I still love the owner of, you know, Priority Records, Brian Turner. Like, you know, I just don't think he really knew how to deal with me. Like, there was a time when they were even discussing, like, why don't we just bounce Raz over to Rawkus? He would, you know, because they distributed Rawkus Priority. So look at Jay-Z. Jay-Z's record. I always try to explain this to people. Jay-Z was on Priority Records. Jay-Z's first album, Reasonable Doubt, came out on Priority Records. Do well. Russell Simmons, the B-side to Jay-Z's first single was Ain't No Nigga. Now, Jay-Z shot Dead Presidents for his single. That was his video. Came out, and Priority felt like it was a bust. Those execs said, well, it didn't perform, fuck it, and they moved on. They would sign lots of independent artists and then, you know, put it through the system that they had, but they didn't know how to promote a record and understand each artist is different. If you can't promote Ras Kass like you promote Garth Brooks. It's a different, you can't just run me through a fucking assembly line. They were assembly lining artists. And so Jay-Z's record didn't perform, and Russell wanted to blow up Foxy. Jay was writing Foxy shit. Ain't No Nigga. They put it on the Who's the Man soundtrack, shot another video on the record. The single went gold. It drove the album gold, and then Jay-Z left Priority because he had an out. Because he was signed to himself. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's the difference between Ras Kass and Jay-Z, literally having that opportunity to go where people got it.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, you know, so
Jay-Z would easily be Ras Kass, an extremely talented nigga that not many people heard of. Opportunities, you know. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't signed to myself. I was signed to, a company that, you know, and like I said, this is not bitter bitch mad shit. I'm just stating facts. And like I said, I still love Brian Turner. I appreciate him. I think, you know, did the best he could with his knowledge. But, you know, we ended up having these conversations. Like, you don't know how to break artists, bro. You know, NWA was a phenomenon. That could have went anywhere. You could have put that on Tommy Boy. They were going to do what they were going to do. It's just like Luke and them, you know, shit. They were going to get banned, and that was going to sell more records. I was banned in the USC, you know what I'm saying? And that was a time before sample clearance. So they're doing Springsteen records. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
It's just a different era. And they didn't really know how to market Ras Kass, nor did they know how to market Jay-Z, nor did they know how to market Pharoah Monch on the Priority Records.
Right.
Know how to market and deal with. They understood gangster rap, and they had that channel, but they didn't understand lyrical. The fly, you know, he's a fly rich nigga rhetoric. He told you what he would do. Ras Kass is a cerebral bad kid.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? There's all these different artists that I don't put on a khaki suit and crip walk and a 6'4" bounces. That just wasn't my lane, and they didn't know how to market that.
Well, I mean, you were definitely different, and the minute the listener pressed play on Earth as It Is, they knew something different was
Right.
coming, right? So how
Right.
did you know that was the message you wanted to lead with? Especially back then when listening stations at record stores is how people first experienced the albums before they bought it.
On Earth for me was ill. I wanted to, it's not really shock rap, Nas, shock rap, for instance, is like Nas. I remember listening to Nas. Like when I was 12, I went to hell for snuffing Jesus. I was like, oh shit, you can't say that. Like that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But it was dope. Like, you know what I mean? So, horrorcore would come from that. You know what I'm saying? Like the shock rap, Eminem, Tech Nines, those kind of people. Like I killed my mom, I raped my cat, I did that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. That's that era. And we all grew up in it. Everybody's expressions evolved, but I remember those phases of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? That particular style or subgenre. For me, I just wanted to write questioning religion. Not necessarily God, but I was questioning religion, organized religion, and my approach was more from the Lord's Prayer. How do we fucking on earth as it is in heaven? How literally can I relate that to my everyday life as a nigga? You know what I'm saying? As a young black man in LA. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I did. And I thought it was so simple. It gave me a range of wild shit to compare and contrast. Like, I never seen an angel or virgin bitches with halos, but my secular metaphysical theology is fatal. Because being with a mic cable is a religious experience in itself. I got a message from God. He said, don't even try to fuck with me. Suckers reluctantly carried a cross and uppercuts at Nazareth. I'm hazardous. Raised the dead like Lazarus. Led the fucking lambs to the slaughter and walked on water when it's frozen. In a crown of thorns, I'm on point like the unicorn in cuneiform. Like, it's ill. It just gave me, I'm like, fuck, it was writing itself. Like, it doesn't happen. How many things can I play with biblically and related to some hood shit? And it was just, so once I recorded, I was like, yo, this is fucking, for me as a, as an MC, I was like, Kim, niggas gotta love me for this one. This is fucking sick, so I had to lead with it. I had to lead with that. Right?
Yeah, that was crazy. And even the single Anything Goes, was definitely not your ordinary stuff that was going on back then. You wrote Big Bank, Tank Little Bank, and SNL scandal stole millions. So 12 years later, the country faced the biggest economic crisis since the Great Depression. $10 trillion wiped away in wealth. So
yeah, and,
so,
and what you call them, and fucking what you call them? What's the bank? The ones that was giving people like 8 different huh?
Which bank?
No, recently. I'm talking about in the past like week.
Oh,
Wells Fargo.
Deutsche. Oh, Wells Fargo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people lost mortgages, stocks plummet. Like, how relevant is Anything Goes today? I mean, to your point.
It's people, I don't think, like I'm not a spooky person. I think God places things in people's heart, and some things just ring true because they're true. And the world is kind of cyclical. So Anything Goes. I was just because we're reissuing the vinyl for Anything for Black House Records. Thanks to Black House Records, we did a few remixes. So I kind of recycled everything and remixed Anything Goes. This is the same record but more sonic. It remixed it, resampled it, everything, and kept the original vocals. And just listening to the song it's such a political record. Like, that record is not, it's easy listening, but it's all factual, and it's just talking about the government, what these banks do, and that basically if you get caught, thought you knew, because the DEA do it too. Keep separate books for the Internal Revenue Service. capitalism is pimps and hoes. Form it now, and I'm like, in 2016, homie, anything goes, and it's so relevant. Like, there's nothing I had to change except for in 2016. Like, literally everything fits. The Rottweilers like Chihuahuas, they still shooting and killing us. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything just made, you know, I'm blessed. You know, some things I hear, you know, of my own records, and I'm like, oh, I told on myself, I dated it. Songs are like kind of timeless. They're not really qualified by dates, because I'm not talking about material shit. I'm talking about experience that people that we're going through. Our political system is screwed. You know what I'm saying? Our government fleeces us. The rich are getting richer, and the middle class is being destroyed, and they still murder black men and brown men. So it becomes very applicable no matter what.
You know, it's crazy how timeless the album is. Two examples. So on Nature of the Threat, you said Jews don't salute the swastika, but blacks pledge allegiance to the flag that accosted you. You know, does it surprise you that it took people 20 years to begin to start to protest during the singing of the national anthem?
I'm thankful that it's sinking into people. Like, you know, Kaepernick, you know, I respect that. You know, I mean, think about the sacrifices. I don't know if you saw the OJ documentary.
Yes.
It's brilliant, man, and it gave me such a understanding that perspective, and looking at what Muhammad Ali sacrificed, and Kareem. Everybody was sacrificing, and then there was the one person that just kind of, they needed a good nigga. You know what I'm saying? And he was okay with being the good nigga. But we all have to do this for each other. We have to stand, not, with Kaepernick, and, you know, and by extension, all the other people that make their stand, you know. Black, brown, white, yellow, because, you know, it's not just black people, you know, like the have-nots are more than just blacks. You know what I'm saying? So to make a stand, but that's a very practical stand for black people, you know, to say, you know, you just shot, you know, if I went and shot somebody's son right now, let's just invert the question. If I, as somebody that's supposed to represent the law of the land, went and literally blatantly murdered an unarmed white kid, how do you go to sleep at night, even if the laws of man are allowing that? But that's against the law of God. And so as people, period, as human beings, as children of God, you know, I'm not going to pledge allegiance. Why would I give my soul and swear some oath to something that's purposed to murder me? That's not even common sense. I pledge allegiance to God. I don't pledge allegiance to no man that murders me.
That's crazy. You mentioned the OJ. Your album had a lot of references to the OJ trial, which had just been, you know, the verdict was literally almost a year to the day, a year before your album dropped. So, you know, fast forward 20 years later, how crazy is it that we're once again obsessed with OJ, you know, in the year of the 20th anniversary, you know, between the documentary and the scripted series? You know, what does that say about the progress or lack thereof the country has made in the last 2 decades?
Well, I think there's two lessons to be learned from that. What's good for the goose is not really good for the gander in America. You understand what I'm saying?
What do you mean by that?
They murdered us, but basically he was still guilty no matter what, and he's always been guilty, and they had a shit fit about it for years, for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So much compassion for these officers. What about these officers? They were feeling like they're discouraged. People, man. It's, bro. Like, how coward is that? And you are sworn to protect and serve the people, and you murders black people, stop and frisk, like, man. And so they trick us. I think the lesson to be learned is what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. You are not a citizen here. You are a second class You are supposed to be part of the fodder to make white men rich in America.
Mm.
Bitches, fuck our Asian bitches, fuck our Mexican bitches, fuck the white bitches, fuck the black bitches. And the black man is supposed to suck his cock, because some of them are gay, and kill each other and stay out of his way. That's why they wanted the good old days, the 50s. He could slap his wife, tell a nigga to go drink out of a shitty fountain, tell a Mexican to clean his house. You understand what I'm saying?
Make America great again, right?
And get away with it. So, white people have talked about that. Like, that wasn't the good days. The 1950s wasn't good. One person it was good for, the white man. Pay us less money. You understand what I'm saying? Pay women. They still pay women less money. How was that a good time in America? For who?
You know, you have a line too where you say, if Clinton is the answer, we're asking the wrong question.
Oh, it's a stupid question.
Yeah, it's a stupid question, right? How does that how does that play out for you now, given the current like political context?
I just tweeted. No, I put it on Instagram. I tweeted it too, but I was just like, well, you know, I guess statistically, Trump averages a lie every 3.5 minutes. So I was like, you know, Donald Trump averages a lie every 3.5 minutes, and Hillary Clinton is a robot, and Bernie Sanders. So fuck my life, and I still gotta go vote. But yeah, it's still a stupid question. But I'm not a big fan of Obama, so I don't like any of these people. We have the power to some degree elect, but we definitely we don't pick our own leaders, especially in the black community. We allowed them to murder our leaders. And Malcolm, we allowed them to murder, and sometimes they have a nigga, but the nigga pulls the trigger. So, but you know, some of these niggas are work for, you know, they work for an agenda. So, you know, we don't have leadership that should be leading. They'll put the monkeys and the coons. You can watch that in rap.
You know,
they're leading our people into destruction and worshiping money, and something that says it's God. You know, in God we trust, and they put that on there, and that's not God. That's their God is Satan. So, you know, that is, I don't want to worship that God. Wall Street, the bull, the whole golden calf shit with the Jews. Moses, they were worshiping the golden calf. The golden calf is in Wall Street. It's on Wall Street. So we see these things, but we just want, ignorance is bliss until the reckoning, and when they start killing you, and when they start putting people in camps, and when they take the credit card away, and they like, well, you got to put in your hand. Then, you know, you got to, I pray I'm not that sleep when it gets that obvious.
The golden calf is on Wall Street. Wow, that's crazy. You know, you talked about the leaders that were killed. Tupac was a leader, you know, in hip hop and otherwise. You know, and he was murdered really just about less than a month before your album dropped. When you talk about you know, Eldridge Cleaver and Soul on Ice and the duality he talked about in terms of us being hypocritical, us loving, you know,
right,
to talk about politics, but also that Hennessy, and you mentioned this in a Source interview way back when. You know, how did it affect you? How did Pac's death affect you at a time that would otherwise be so exciting in your life, given what he represented?
Pac, for one, I was very much in all Pac. I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, like, I bought Pac's first CD, and that's before I would go on to meet Money B and become, you know, very close friends with his cousin, a dude named Cletus Mack, Numbskull from the Loonies. Like, so I was, by extension, they're some of the first people that ever embraced me. I didn't even have a record deal when I met them. And then get a chance to be a rapper and, you know, kind of buzzing, but, you know, so by extension, I kind of, you know, I was acquainted with Pac, and plus I grew up running the streets with some of the people from Thug Life. rated R and all of them. So we were, we were like one degree of separation away from each other. But then watching what he, I remember buying his first tape, and like Brenda's Got a Baby, and I'm like, he's on some Pan African shit. And I remember my girlfriend like, I don't really like him. I'm like, this shit, he's dope. I don't give a fuck what you talking about. Who would eventually become the mother of my children, Teacher Moses. So at the time, I'm telling my girlfriend, this nigga's dope. This nigga talking that shit. And watching his evolution and disagreeing with some of the moves that he made, but his passion and some of the stands he took were amazing. Being in that position, I don't know how it would be. Would I become just another crony that does anything for some money and won't make a stand and salute the flag and be the good nigga to get the check? He obviously wasn't the good nigga to get the check. You know what I'm saying? And I respected that. Whether, I agree with everything he did or not, I still respected that he tried to stand as a black man. And him passing, my whole thing was, Badass was at my house. A whole bunch of like the lowlifes, a whole bunch of Long Beach niggas was at my house. And when Pac got shot, and we like, whatever. Pac gets shot every week. He'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, that nigga's good. You know what I'm saying? So nobody thought much of it. And then to get the news the next morning, I'm like, yo, he dead. Like, really, people cried. And, I did. I was like, damn, man. And he personally showed me love more than once. You know what I'm saying? He directly was a cool nigga to me. And he didn't have to be. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't gaining anything by being cool to me. He just, honestly, he would have been a politician, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I think he would have went into civic, and he would have been somebody that I would have rather rallied around than people that don't have our best interests at heart. I have his people's best interests at heart. I'll say that.
That's heavy, man. Your artwork was very powerful too. Why did you decide to put yourself behind bars for the album cover?
What?
Why did you decide to put yourself behind bars for the album cover?
That's a two-part answer. Well, I didn't find the book. I was in juvenile hall, and my mother would, your mom or your parents could bring you stuff. It's not quite prison. So, it's a little more lax. And, my mom would visit me and notebooks and all kind of stuff, pens and, all kind of shit. And so she brought me these books. She brought me maybe 5 books. And the one that resonated was Soul on Ice, the Eldridge Cleaver book. Never heard of him. Didn't know him from Adam's House Cat. And as I read the book, it resonated with me about who I was, making these poor decisions, but having a good heart. These vignettes, because basically Soul on Ice is not a linear book. It's these little fucking vignettes about, I did this and that probably wasn't cool. And then I fell in love, but because I was immature, I fucked that relationship up. And then this is the first time, like, I fucking, I hit a police officer back, or did, whatever. These are just his little pockets of his memory, like little time capsules of his experiences, and him trying to process that is what I got from the book. Meaning that the bigger symptom was the disease of self-hatred and being, abused mentally in America. It's kind of what I think the biggest thing that was the soul on ice was that being abused mentally, physically, spiritually in America by white supremacy and diseases. He personally, he raped white women. Do I think that's cool? Not at all. But it was a symptom of his disease, and that's how he lashed out. I have 4 sisters, but for him to admit that and say, what I'm saying? I was like, wow, that's some powerful shit, to be honest about who you are, and God willing that you want to change that and pray for forgiveness, whatever. And so that's what I was trying to do, was kind of purge and just say, hey, man, I've made some horrible mistakes. This is what I've done. And, gotta forgive you if you can't forgive yourself. You know what I'm saying? And be humble and honest. Like, I've made these mistakes, and I'm truly sorry. And it's not for everybody else. That I think I was just listening. I wasn't even listening to it. It just came up. The song "Only God Could Judge Me." Now, at the end of the day, only God could judge us anyway. Laws of man are nothing compared to the laws of God.
Right.
And it was legal to it was legal to put your wife in a sane asylum if she didn't do what you wanted her to do in 1940. You know what I'm saying? Was it the law of God? No. It was legal to rape a woman and then call her adulteress in Islam and then stone her. Is that the law of God? It is not. I'm trying to interpret God, and it's wrong. And people, you will answer, I believe, at some point. There's a reckoning for these things that we do,
Right.
Collectively and individually. So, yeah, for me, being behind the bars was where I got the book. Also, it's exemplified having your soul on ice, to be, to kind of, almost free, but not quite free. You know what I'm saying? If I can get through these bars, the world's at my fingertips and I can do whatever. But what the bars kind of signified this white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? And then some of my own mental, and emotional and spiritual blockades, that were symptoms of my disease of being a black man under white supremacy in America.
Yeah, you talk a lot about prison and laws like 3 strikes that sent people away for life back in '96 in the album. Now that mass incarceration has devastated an entire generation of black men 20 years later, are prison reform tactics like, getting rid of privatized facilities progress, or is it too little too late?
I thought that was one of the better things that that Hillary Clinton spoke about, thanks to Bernie Sanders. Um, if you make something private, just like our healthcare, the incentive is not to cure; it's to keep you fucked up so that you can make money. And there shouldn't be incentives in curing people or in incarceration. Like, a private prison makes no sense, because now I have a business. I want my restaurant full every day. So now I have to figure out how to get people in there. And if I'm Korean, I probably don't want to put a lot of Koreans in there. You understand what I'm saying? If I'm own a private prison and I'm Korean, I'm going to find other people to put in there, because I don't necessarily want my cousin and my uncle and my dad. But I need somebody to fill it because I got to make money. So I'm going to figure out who I don't like the least. And I'm going to start making sure at least more of them go there to my prison. And so, we can't fix the damage that's done. We can only move past it. But, the bigger problem is that, there's the false narrative, that all facts, these people don't listen to facts. They talk about building a wall, and, South America is, like pretty much at zero. Mexicans don't want to come over here. And then they do jobs that people don't want to do. You understand what I'm saying? And commit literally, the same or less crime than everybody else. Same thing with blacks. Our population is about the amount of crime that we do, and whites do. But they have created this narrative that, it's a blame game. And middle America, the Bible Belt, their comfort zone is to think that because they look like the power structure, that they look like Donald Trump, that he gives a fuck about them. And he doesn't. They're just fodder too. They vote against their interests. There are more white people on welfare. But their narrative is that we come here and smoke crack and rape white girls and get on welfare. It's just not quite true. The governor of Maine just got caught. Like we live in a country that is nobody wants to look at who is causing the disease. Because if you do, then you hate white people. If you say, look, man, like, What's a minority? A white man, my college teacher taught me, a professor said, invert the question. So what's a minority? Blacks are minorities. Gays are minorities. Women are minorities. All women, white women, Asian women, black women. So let's invert the question. What's the majority? Oh, he's on your dollar all the time. White man. White guy. Why is he the majority? How the fuck is he the majority? He's not. But he's already mentally put us in a state of inferiority mentally that we refuse to question. And when you question, then you're angry. You understand what I'm saying? They tricked you with technology. That's what we call it, technology. Upside down logic. Donald Trump, he speaks with forked tongue, like the natives say, snake tongue. Never answers anything, will say yes and no. So he has a plausible deniability, however it works. And which is Satan. He speaks like Satan.
Yeah, I mean,
nobody wants these issues in our country. They rather believe the lies of what they rather feel, what's convenient for them. I was in jail, and we had the officer that was in charge of us. I worked ODR clerk with this nigga named CL from New York, and the dude was a straight hick. Like he had a banjo. No, he had like a violin. He looked like he was from the South. This dude was from the South. He was a CO, and I mean he was a sheriff because it was in Wayside. But he hated us for one. These two black dudes. His assumption was everybody in jail is probably a rapist. Fucking crack dealing nigger, Mexican, whatever. And he ended up hearing us talk because we were both pretty, articulate people, and we would be talking and philosophizing about shit while we were working because we worked in the kitchen. We had to count, make sure that, everybody else was in, that was at work, was supposed to be at work, was at work. There wasn't nobody escape, whatever. It was basically, it's like a cushion job, and you have to be, high school graduate or smart to even get the job. So usually white guys tended to get this particular job. So he did not really like us being there. Long story short, after a couple of weeks, because he would not speak to us, like he hated us, and he started hearing us talk, and he's like, "You guys are, what are you guys doing here? Like I've had such a different perspective of you two, but you guys are smart and good people. What are you doing here?" And I looked at what you're here for, like, you're not here for nothing overly extremely crazy. So what? I was like, people make mistakes, man. Da da da. And he said this one thing that was so interesting. I wrote it down, and I can always quote him because I wrote it down when he said it. Not to learn things because it gets in the way of what I choose to believe. We changed him because he observed us, and he developed a compassion for human beings, even the people that he thought that we were all scumbags. And he said that. I was like, that was fucking deep, because that's most people. People don't learn new things because they already want to feel how they want to feel. That's deep, right?
Yeah, it's heavy, man. And a lot of the themes you touched on, you laid out very meticulously in nature of the threat. And we've talked a lot about the things that haven't changed, over the last 20 years. But one thing that has changed is technology. We were talking about it earlier. And now people have, the internet at their disposal. They can get any information they want to at any time. But that was not possible back then. How did you gather all the information you laid out in that song? And, how long did it take you to write it?
I knew I was going to write Nature of the Threat probably 4 years before. 3 or 4 years before I actually wrote it. I was studying the Moors. Like I was building with the Moorish nation. One of my friends had already stepped into the nation completely. So I was building with the Nation of Islam. I had some friends that were 5%ers. And I was going to college, and I was taking all the courses. So, and I was taking the courses really to buy the books. And then, I was going to, and then I was reading Behold the Pale Horse and, whatever. And I'm taking all the information, and they came, they came before Columbus, you know what I'm saying? Sertima. you know, whatever. So I was just grabbing. And the ironic part was that all these things, as I was putting them together, encyclopedias, like, I was lucky enough that in our family, we always had Encyclopedia Britannicas in the house. I didn't even realize there was Encyclopedia Judaica, Encyclopedia Africanus, and all that. But my Encyclopedia Britannicas. So as I would compare these things, I just laid out all these books and started making footnotes, but they all added up and started saying the same things if you put the dates together. And that was the interesting thing. Like, this shit is hidden in plain sight. You know, like, it's here. Like, I'm not saying anything that is unique. This is all in all the same. Like, the encyclopedia is verifying what the paperwork that the Moors gave me. That is verifying what my cultural anthropology class just told me. That's verifying this Time Magazine article about Lucy, the mitochondrial Eve, which is verified, you know, through the Bible about feet of burnt brass, you know, whatever. And it was just very interesting to be able to see that for me. I started the journey to write it probably 3 years before. I gathered all the shit. I had my footnotes and marked things off. And then when I was ready to write it one day, I put every single fucking book on the ground and had notes, and I started marking 1, 2, 3. I want to say this, and plus that's corroborated with this, so I'm gonna have to put that over there. And then yeah, it was like a puzzle in my bedroom of books, open encyclopedias, nation, it was like every kind of book, dictionaries, blah 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 blah. And then I wrote it, and it took, like, honestly, I wrote this shit in like an hour. It was done because I could just look at it.
Wait, an hour? That's crazy.
Yeah, bro. But it took 3 years to write it in an hour. I was already doing that research. It was already in here. You know what I'm saying? I just needed to look at it on the group and make sure I was getting my dates correct. So, you know, I could check the dates and look at that and like, oh, okay, I want to start here and talk about this first. Then I want to get into the history of European Christianity, da-da-da-da-da. Then I want to go here. I want to go there, you know, the crest, you know, the ISIS papers, you know, whatever. I just had them all, and it really wrote itself. Certain songs, I feel like that interview with a vampire, like, you know, I was just the vessel. You know, I feel blessed. I'm not, you know, trying to be all fucking spooky about it, but I feel like God put that shit in my heart. It just leaked out. It was, I had to do the research, but that shit wrote itself. I didn't. It wasn't hard to do. I you know, the hard part was being willing to do the research. Well, you know, not to spit it back out.
Well, you know, given how radical the song was, especially against all the things that were out at that time, were you surprised to see how well it was received and how long it's, you know, continued to endure?
Yeah, because it was a totally selfish record. And I wrote Nature of the Threat, and I wasn't gonna record it because I wasn't gonna put it on the first album. Nature of the Threat was gonna be on Ras Assassination. And I wanted to write it and get it out my system because it was like coming up. It just wanted to come out. So then I was like, well, why don't I just record it? And then, you know, and my friends will tell you, like, I sit on records. I sit on records for years, 3, 5, 7. Like, it's not ready yet. It's not the time to put this song out. Lose It All on the new album. You know, I've had that record for 3 years, and then it's like 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? I just, you know, I didn't feel like it was time to put the records out until now when they speak to me and I'm like, this is the story I need to convey. So even like the Apollo Brown shit, I tell people How to Kill God, that record I wrote in prison. I wrote that record in 2005. Like, you know, that's just who I am. That's how I write. And so, damn, I'm sorry, I forgot what the question was.
I mean, just if you were surprised at how it was received, right? Because,
how it held up. Like I said, I was going to save it. Once I recorded it, I thought, like, you know what? I think this is kind of important. I think people should hear this. I think, you know, I think maybe I didn't really want it on Soul on Ice, but and I definitely really thought because that was on my demo. Nature of the Threat was my demo. Like, that's what they signed me with. It wasn't something I did afterwards. Like, that was part of my demo. Def Jam heard, like, people had heard that record. The Roots had heard that record when there was a part where I hummed it, because where Exhibit say, "Let these dumbass niggas know." Like, I had just said, So literally the Roots had heard my demo was circulating in the industry, and I remember going to the show with the Roots, like, "Why'd you change it? I like when you just did the I like, no, I kind of like it better with "Let these dumbass niggas know," whatever. So I thought it would piss people off, which it did. I thought it may hinder my career, but which some people feel like it did. But I'm glad, like, white, brown, Asian, Black, Jew, Gentile, people have said, like, you changed my life. And, like, I'm a teacher. I use this in my college course, 5%ers, and, like, male and female, like, you help change, and that's a blessing, man. I wrote, like I said, for something that was so selfish, and really for me to try to understand and put some perspective on the planet for myself, to have, to, God willing, put, help people get some analytical thinking, to challenge the status quo, to do some research. I never told anybody to believe what I said. My whole thing was, let's create a dialogue and prove me wrong. Go to college and go learn and come back and tell me it ain't true. But most people come back and say, went to college and that shit's true. Like, that's awesome. And that's what I like. Like, Black, brown, white, like I said, gay, straight, male, female, Jew, Gentile, for a person to say, you know what? You fucked my brain up. I had to go look into that shit, and I found out you were telling the truth, bro. Like, awesome, man. That's what it's about.
You impacted
teach one.
You impacted a lot of lives, man. And one of the things you also said in the album was that you just wanted enough snaps to put clothes on your daughter. Steps back. What kind of father has hip hop allowed you to be?
I mean, even in the new album, I talk about Raz and Taj too. My sons, and I think being, those are two different things. I talk to, I always tell my sons, like, bro, like, if you want to go accomplish a goal, don't have a kid. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a different distraction, and that's a different kind of love, and it's a different kind of sacrifice. And I'm not the mother. The mothers make the ultimate sacrifice. But even as a dude, there's things, that money could have went towards investing in myself, or maybe I wanted to move, but I can't move because now these kids are here. You understand what I'm saying? So, I'll, like, and lose it all. I say, may my sons forgive me for forging my path. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't born like Donald Trump to go get I didn't get $1 million loan from my dad. You know what I'm saying? I got to get out here and kind of make it happen. And if I'm a kid with a kid and their mom's a kid, then there's just 3 kids. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not really the best ideas. I don't think I'm a great father at all. I wouldn't sit here and lie to you. I hope that, my children learn from my successes and my failures. I think they love me. They tell me they love me. You know what I'm saying? They're like, yo, you pretty fucking cool, Dad. I'm like, well, that's cool, man. I'm glad that they love me, and they, even though my shortcomings, that they know my heart's intent. But I don't, definitely don't think I'm like father of the year at all. I just don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to be real with myself. But neither was my father. And I'm a mama's boy anyway. So, yeah, that's as honest as I can be about it, man. Like I said, I'm thankful that they love me. But, if I had it my way, they would have went to better schools. You know what I'm saying? I would have had, what I'm saying? That was my plan for them. I was busy fighting with Priority Records and Capitol Records. And meanwhile, my children weren't able to go to the schools that I wanted them to go to. You know what I'm saying? I want my kids to go to Harvard and Yale. You know what I'm saying? Whether they academically earned it or not, because Donald Trump is dumb as fuck. He wasn't smart. He just neither was fucking George Bush. Not a smart person. They just, family got money. Make sure you go through the right channel so you get the right association with the right people, and you're going to school and associating with power people, so you become a person of power anyway. That's all that is. So yeah, I kicked myself in the ass about that. That I wasn't able to put my kids in Beverly Hills High to then go to Harvard and then go to fucking whatever medical, whatever, and so they could go fucking run some Fortune 500 company and be banging, the owner of fucking American Airlines daughter. That's what I want for them.
That could still happen. You never know, man. When you listen to the album now, 20 years later, how is it still the test of time for you?
Oh man, I listened to the sonics of it. I'm like, man, I really wish, I was hard headed, and I'm like, and we had a sound, but I listened to it. I'm always like, man, fuck, I just wish, because I was so. Battle Cat taught me and Bird like production, and he was a beast with the SP, and his snares and kicks sounded big, and ours don't. So I'm always kind of cringing about that. Like, damn, man, like, I wish I would have listened to Flip more, like, and used the MPC drums as opposed to using the SP drums, and they were a little lighter. Easy Mo B, when he used the SP, that shit knocked. When Battle Cat used the SP, that shit knocked. When Pete Rock used the SP, it knocked. When Ras Kass or Berg used the SP, it didn't knock as much. So for me, I cringe about that. Like, damn it, man. Like, yeah, I listen to it, and I think lyrically, there's some good things happening, and avant-garde samples. I wish I would have known Seagal back then, so he could have mixed it, and the shit would have really knocked. But I wouldn't meet Seagal until after Solo Night. Seagal did, 4-time Grammy winner. So like Outkast and fucking like the Chronic 2001 and fucking 2 Eminem albums. So yeah, I met him through the Dre journey, and that's Seagal keeps it crispy. That's what we say. Seagal keeps it crispy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's my one regret. I cringe about the mixes.
I hear you. But so you mentioned the new project a couple of times, Intellectual Property SOI 2. For those who haven't heard it yet, what can they expect, and what does that album offer as sort of a sequel to the album?
I think Intellectual Property is asking some of the hard questions. What did I learn 20 years after these experiences? What has happened since 1996? What career wise, emotionally, spiritually, and this is it's called intellectual property because this is more like the it's the industry part. My artist, what happened to my career? Why did they try to sweep me under the rug? Why was I in a lawsuit from 2002 to 2010 just to get dropped? You know what I'm saying? From a major label. Like, why did they think that was a viable thing to do? You know what I'm saying? To spend more money fighting me to get fired than they spend in promoting me as a signed artist. Yeah, looking at those things and how did that affect me? Sometimes I know it made me a really miserable, bad person with bad vibes, and sometimes I was sad, and sometimes I was hopeful or whatever. So dealing with that part and realizing that, they don't own, you sign these contracts and they say they own your image and likeness. Like, you don't. Like, I'm God's unique creature. Like, how did white people even make things like that to tell you they can do that to you? Like, we own you. Like, that's some slavery shit. Like, that's crazy that they in 2016 think they can do that to people, and we allow them to. And that's what IP is about. It's about realizing like the laws of God are above the laws of man, and man will fucking pay for some of the ridiculous shit he does to his own brother, his own sister. What a fuck boy shit. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't bow to the laws of man by the grace of God. And whatever that may entail in the future, I pray that I'm strong enough to endure it or dying during it. And that's what IP is about that journey.
That's deep, man.
And asking yourself questions. Am I ready to endure whatever the journey's going to be? It may, I'm not going to qualify. I may never get as hot as Eminem and Kendrick Lamar and whoever, but my contribution is still my contribution, and they'll never be able to take that from me, and I have to be okay with that. It's not that I won't keep striving to get the respect and the finances that I deserve, but that may not be in the cards for me, and I have to accept that. And that's what my journey is. That's what I'm realizing, and that's what the album is about.
Well, I mean, it's unique.
And Gainesville will say they'll figure it out, in 10 years and say the one of the greatest ever, not these, pound for pound, the greatest MC ever. That's my goal anyway. And then I got kids, and that's my intellectual property too. And my sons spit, and they're incredible. And so they can't kill me because I already got 2 more Ras Kasses coming. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's that part. It's a celebration too. So it's not as sad and depressing. I hope I wasn't making it sound that way. Like it's a joyous album, but taking some hard looks at that type of stuff.
Well, it's a unique and powerful perspective, man. And if it's as timeless as Soul and Ice has been, we'll regroup in about 20 more years and talk on this one too, man. But
I would love to. Well, it's a trilogy. So Soul and Ice was 2016. Soul and Ice was 1996. IP SOI2 is 2016, and the second half of it is 2017. So it'll be a trilogy.
Awesome.
So I definitely hope people check out IP. I mean, I'm blessed. My report card from my peers. Like some of it's dope when Planet Asia is like, this is the best album you ever made. Like, period. This is better than Soul and Ice. Like, that's a blessing. When Premiere is like, yo, this is it. People are like, yo, the fuck did you just do? Like, this is the best album. This is like, I thought Blasphemy was your best album. Like, sonically, and like, nigga, this is better than fucking, like, and that's a blessing. And I'm thankful to everybody that helped me get this project together. And it means a lot to me. As people write me, fans and, critics and people say like, yo, man, like, I didn't think you could do better than Blasphemy, and this is better. Like, this is crazy. Like, how you keep getting better. And these other people, they have all this help and ghostwriters and so-and-so, and you keep murdering these motherfuckers. I'm like, thank God for that. So that's what that's what I want to do, and hopefully we will revisit it. But I'm going to put, I'll close out this part of my journey, God willing, if I'm alive to be able to get, the second half of Soul and Ice 2 out, then I don't know. Maybe I'll be a painter. I don't even know if I want to fucking rap anymore, to be perfectly honest. So, I don't know what the journey holds for me,
Yeah. Well, yo, man, thank you. I really appreciate this. I know all the heads out there are going to appreciate it deeply. And congratulations again on the anniversary. We look forward to hearing next year, 2017, part 3 of the trilogy, and thank you.
Thank you, Reg. I appreciate it. Shouts out to Ambrosia for heads, man. And you guys will see me soon, man. Much love.
Absolutely.